Hello and welcome back to my channel. I know that it's been a while since you've seen any videos from me, and not only are you not seeing any jigsaw puzzles, but I'm not doing any jigsaw puzzles right now. I've just been working on my reading and wrapping up my reading year. As you can see in this part of the video, you'll see my reading progress for 2024. I'm using an app called Bookly. Yes, it's a subscription app, but I have tested, I think, 5 altogether, and this one is indeed my favorite. Of course, I still use Goodreads. I still use my Google Sheets spreadsheet, but I like this because of some of the features that you're going to see in this video that I'm making now. Now, as you can see right there on the screen, I read 390 books. My Goodreads goal was 350, which I will say at the beginning of 2024, I set it for 400, but I realized it wasn't going to happen. And then I put it back to 350, and I stayed with that for the rest of the year. And I was able to surpass that, as you can see right here in this part of the video. So again, 390 books for the year. And everything is right here on the screen, 130,434 pages. In hours, it came up to 1,606. And I wish I had computed that into days or weeks, but I didn't. My average reading speed is 81.2 pages per hour for the most part. And it shows that the best number of pages I read in one day was 1,519, and that is the rare occasion where I read more than 4 books in a day, and I mean rare occasion. Another rare statistic you'll see there is 1,115 minutes read in one day. Again, a rare occasion when those things collided. My longest reading streak was only 24 days for the year, and my reading days per year was 261 because I had some difficult weeks and months, as you'll see as we go further in this video. And the last thing in this graphic is my average book rating, which is 4.33 stars. I curate my books, so I pretty much love almost everything that I read. Okay, so I changed the graphic here to show you what I did in January. And I thought and thought about how I am going to present this video and realized there's no way I'm going to be able to talk about 390 books in a single video. So with the Bookly app, as you can see, it's right there on the screen. I am doing this scrolling feature that I found, and I'll try to do it for each month as neatly as I can while I bring up the graphic that applies to that month. And so what you see here is at the bottom left, you see 51 books read for the month of January. And my average number of pages per day was 590. But if you look at the middle on the left, you'll see that the most read pages that I read in a day was 1,436. That's those rare days that I want to read more than 2 or 3 books. The most minutes I read in a day over the course of that month was 1,045, but most minutes I read in a day was 1,045, but I don't usually read that much in one day. But that's the feature that comes up for that particular day. So that brings January to a close. Let's take a look at February. So February was a pretty good month as well. As you can see, I read 47 books in February. My page number for February was 14,082. My average page per day is 485. And that's basically meaning that I read about a book and a half a day most days. And then you see some other statistics. The most read pages in a day, and most pages read in a day was 947. And then the most minutes read in a day was only 619. So I spread out my reading a little bit more in February than I did in January. And let's see, I think, one other statistic I see right there is 145 hours and 26 minutes of reading time. You can see I started the year off good. I was still going strong. 51 books in 1 month, now 47 in this month. And then in a moment, I'll show you what I did in March. By the way, you can pause these videos at any time if there's any of these books or titles that appeal to you, especially considering how I rated them, and then you can screenshot that and look up the book yourself. So we move right into the month of March. My reading did ebb a little bit. There's some highs and lows, as you're going to see as this video continues. But for March, I read 31 books, and the number of pages I read in March was 11,095. And my average page per day was 357, slowing down on my reading. The most amount of pages I read during March was 1,328, with the most minutes being 995. I still enjoyed it. There was still a lot of very good titles that came in, because since I select titles from NetGalley, I get to choose what I want to read. And whether it's NetGalley or the library, I do get to enjoy mostly everything that I read. So we're still going down. Now I'm down to 24 books read in a month for the month of April. My page count was pretty low, but not the lowest of the year, as you'll soon see, but it was 7,887, with a total of 94 hours and 37 minutes read during the month. The most amount of pages read per day was 986. The most minutes was 678, and as you can see, the average number of pages per book was only 262. So April was a tough month, but I'm glad that I got through it, because I didn't think that I'd be able to get through it, actually. And I just kept on going, reading some good titles, mostly blog tour titles, but enjoying them nonetheless. Okay, I could cry at these numbers over the next several months. For the next few months, you're going to see lower numbers. And I'll just mention briefly that pretty much all I did during these few months here was mostly blog tour titles, and maybe the occasional title of something that I love, like when I read that David Rosenfeld book. But we're just going to talk about May for a moment. And in May, as you can see, I read only 13 books, which is a total of 45 hours, just 4,149 pages for the month, and a couple other stats that don't even matter because I'm just so embittered by this short reading month. June wasn't much better than May. I was able to read 15 books, which was 4,097 pages. You see the other stats on the screen that I've been repeating the different numbers to you each time. But one thing that I was thinking about when I was looking at the month of June, because I've got the rest of the year to share with you, is any book that we read is a good book. So if I read one book of the year, then at least I read. So I need to stop being so hard on myself. But July was different. I was able to read 30 books. I did all of my blog tour titles, and then I chose some other titles from my backlist that I really wanted to read. And then I started thinking about really incorporating some cozy mystery series. And you'll see a lot of repeat authors like Lauren Elliott. You'll see other authors where you see a lot of the same names, is because I was just trying to stay reading and not just working in the sense of getting my blog tour titles done. I was also rereading titles from time to time in order to be able to have efficient reviews, since I went almost months without really writing much. So here we move into August, and you are going to see a little inconsistency, especially if you saw my spreadsheet. Here it says I have 40 books, but on my spreadsheet it says I have 41. But I'm not going to worry too much about the numbers, because I ran into some statistical situations where things became a little inconsistent. but you can at least see the book covers of all the books that I read in August. So we're going to go with this graphic here of 40 books that I read in August for a total of 13,902 pages, averaging about 800 pages a day or 662 pages in a single day. And this was a higher page count average of 448 pages a book. So, like I said, it's a little bit inconsistent, but at least you can see what I'm doing. And can you notice here all of this, Joanne Fluke? Yes, I was doing a lot of series, binge reading a lot of series. That way I got a chance to recover from some of the things that I was experiencing that was really slowing me down. But it looks really good when I look at this single screenshot, but here it is. Okay, so September was a pretty good month. I read 27 books. September, though, I kind of cheated. As you can see, I read a lot of Kate Carlisle books. I just binge read some cozy mystery series. They weren't very long. In fact, my average page number per book was 291. And I think last month the average page number per book was 464. So you can see I kind of took it easy in September, even though I read a lot of books. And I read 8,732 pages. And as I mentioned, the page count isn't super high because of binge reading that series that I had mentioned just a few moments ago. Then I did read some other individual books that were connected to series, and then just some more from my NetGalley backlist. I have a massive backlist, so I try to get some of those books read each time I get a chance. Here you see my September, and we'll get ready to look at October. Okay, don't refresh your screen because, yes, it says 11 books. That's how many I read in October. I really fell down or fell backwards, and I think, except for maybe a couple of series titles, I just did whatever 3 or 4 blog tours that I had to do for the month. By the way, let me take a moment to tell you what blog tours are. It's when a group of reviewers are requested to review a certain title on a certain date and promote that title by sharing the title, the links, and any images. So when I mention blog tours, that's what I'm referring to. If you need me to break that down in the comment section, don't hesitate to let me know. Now, even though I admittedly struggled during this month of October, I was already thinking about my November and how to turn this year around. But let me just show you the screenshot and then we'll get into November. Okay, so now we're in the month of November and I jumped up to 43 books. How did I read 43 books in November when I struggled to get through October? Well, one of the things that I did is I created a spreadsheet that would encompass all of the titles that I had to review on the NetGalley site. And then I looked for any connecting titles to the books that I was going to review in my library. And I went between my library and NetGalley, and I really had a good time in November. Surprisingly, I went 2 weeks without reading. I think I didn't read from October 21st until November 4th, so that was pretty long. It might have been one of my longest stretches of not reading, but there you have it. There's my November. I'm glad that I got through it. I loved it. It got me really psyched about not just December, but it got me psyched about what I'm going to do in 2025. And look at this. I just love the way this graphic looks. Okay, as you can see, we are in the month of December. Look at the statistics on this one. 55 books read, 17,674 pages. The average number of pages per day was 570, and pages per book, you know what? I think I've been saying per book all along, and it's 570 in this case is per day. So I've got to, I don't know if I'm going to go back and fix that. But in any event, my average jumped up not just because I felt like reading, but because I came up with a plan for reading. Yes, indeed, I did. I came up with a plan to continue with the spreadsheet that I had and to start setting up my 2025 planner, which I will show you that. It's a reading journal. And I'm also getting a life journal. I'll show you those in another video. So, because I had that in mind, it was very easy for me to read every day of this month of December. I loved it. I had no complaints. I don't even have a least favorite. I was saying that on one of the Facebook groups. And so there you have it. There's my look at this. Look at this rich month of December. I'm so glad to see it because it helps me to know what's going to happen next year. Okay, here is one more look at the slideshow, but I am putting all the months in order from January through December. 390 books. I really loved the end of the year, but not just because I was reading so much, but because I was able to work on my spreadsheets. I was able to work in my reading planner, which I cannot wait to show you. And I have started creating pages for my 2025 spreadsheet and even some sample ideas for my 2025 life planner. But these are the books. I'm going to let them play. And I'm thinking before I start some music for you, if this video has entertained you enough and you've stayed this long, why don't you put in the comment section the word goals? And when you put that word goals in, let me know if you have set any goals for January. It could be, for 2025. It could be Goodreads. It could be your personal reading. It could be your life. It could be whether you are a book reviewer like me and you want to get your NetGalley percentage ratio up. It's whatever goals you have set for the next year. Let me know. I would love to read about them in the comments, and I will try to get back to you once I read them. All right, let's put some music on, and I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you with my next video.